Unscripted.
You know, I think I've mentioned this before. Whenever we have a new console generation come up, we get inundated with a lot of promises from these companies. I think, to be quite honest with you, Phil Spencer is quite known for the promises that he makes and things like that. And I think he's also equally as known for all the kind of lies and the bit of misinformation that he's actually put out there as well. So I do think that is a little bit ironic that he is very much, sort of in the same kind of line of thinking, at least for me personally, of a politician, right? Like politicians, I don't trust politicians. I think that politicians don't have our best interest in mind. Their only interest, to be quite honest, is staying in office. And I don't mean to get political because I'm the most probably non-political person you ever meet, but I always just find it funny when you have somebody who's been in office for 30 years talking, or 40 years or 50, whatever, 20 years even, and they're just talking about all the good stuff that they're going to do when you look at their track record and they've done squat in the entire time they've been in office. Like, get out of here. That's crazy talk. You are who you are, not who you say you are. So I always find that to be funny. Same thing with these people. Like, I don't trust Jim Ryan. I don't trust Phil Spencer. And I've mentioned this multiple times before. That's just my nature. It's like you screw me over once, shame on me, or you screw me over like 20,000 times and make me wait 8 years for a game, shame on you. So it's like, it's one of those things. I gave Sony hell at the beginning of last generation, man. I felt like for as good as they were selling and for as much bragging as they were doing, that they really sort of let down their fans in general, because they didn't have anything much to play. And that held true for many, many years. I mean, yeah, there was like little stuff here and there, but a lot of the stuff that they released are what I like to consider like, they're kind of mid type games. Like, that's what people call them nowadays. Like the Order 1886, it doesn't get much more mid than that. It's like a 4.5 hour, 5 hour game. They had Drive Club. Again, that thing launched and it was kind of broken. They did launch with Bloodborne, which I guess was a classic, but even stuff like, Knack was pretty awful, and you had Killzone Shadowfall, which just wasn't very good. And, it took them years to really kind of get their feet on the ground, despite the fact that they were selling well. They were really kind of reliant on indies and stuff like that. And that's sort of how Microsoft is doing things now as well. Like, Microsoft is like really talks up the equivalents of indies, and I hated it then when Sony was doing it, and I hate it now when Microsoft is doing it. So a lot of people that consider me a flip-flop artist or whatever, like, honestly, I went with Xbox because why? Because Xbox had big exclusive games. They did. And they had more of them, and they had the better lineup that first year plus. So I do really think that that's something that we'll have to see how that turns out long term. But at the same time, these companies do promise a lot. Do they deliver on everything? That's another story. But I wanted to get into this because it was a very interesting article about PlayStation and some pretty big and interesting announcements that I wanted to get into. So hopefully you guys are interested in hearing what this has to say. Let's get into it, shall we? What's up, everybody? Crapgamer here with Crapgamer Reviews, back with yet another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I really do appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. It helps out my channel, and it means a lot to me personally. If you guys are looking for a way to help out a little crummy channel like mine, listen, I got a small channel. I'm not a huge YouTuber. I'm not the angry video game nerd or whatever. Heck, I wish I was. That dude's awesome. But, it's just for me personally, I am just sort of at this type of thing where I'm just having fun with this stuff. I'm not doing any podcasts for the rest of the year. Just for me personally, I just kind of was burnt out, and I'm kind of taking a rest. I'm just gaming and having a good time and spending time with my family and all that kind of good stuff. And so that's sort of how the rest of my year is going to play out. And apologies to anyone who's looking forward to podcasts and stuff like that from me this the rest of this year. It's just, it ain't gonna happen. So, but anyway, shout out to all the old subscribers, new subscribers, and everybody in between. You are amazing people. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Thank you so much for all the love and support. I do put a lot of effort and time into this channel, and you guys do support it, and that's very much appreciative. So, you know, with that being said, Jim Ryan, the head of PlayStation, very much active in doing interviews and stuff like that, and was giving some very interesting stuff, because I even had a little bit of problem with this not too long ago, and I think I did a video about it. Like a game like Returnal, right? That game, I believe it's going to end up being $70. I think that that's probably a mistake for that game to be $70, for the simple fact that you know, it just seems like that middle ground between AA and AAA, and you've got a new IP, which might not be the easiest thing to, you know, to really get people to get a hold of. And, you know, like, that's what happens. Like, people are less willing to take a risk on like new IP. So I always feel like if you can price it a little bit cheaper, give people a little bit of a chance to get it, and to spend a little bit less on it, that would probably go over much better than somebody paying $70 for Returnal, which looks, you know, kind of mid or whatever. And, you know, again, it's almost the same type of situation with Godfall, right? Now, Godfall didn't review particularly well, which obviously hurt that, but there's still also the fact that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, people just don't like taking risks with new stuff that obviously that has no real kind of track record. You know, this is probably one of the reasons why, like, so many people continue to buy Call of Duty and Madden and these type of games, because you literally pretty much know what you're going to get all the time, and that can be comforting to people. So, but Jim Ryan was giving a very fun interview about the future, about PlayStation 5, and I found this to be very, very cool. What he was talking about, they aren't really locked into a particular price point, which is really good. You know, a lot of people have been talking about the PS5 and the higher price tags it brings to their video game lineup, even though at the beginning of the generation we found out that Sony Interactive Entertainment is considering a slight increase in titles. Jim Ryan actually discussed how this works, talking with Edge Magazine in a Q&A that can be found on the most recent issue. Jim Ryan took the time to explain how the PlayStation 5 game price plan works, and according to him, the $70 price tag is not a fixed price that all games will release under. Sony Interactive Entertainment sets the game prices after their development in order to make it as fair as possible to both the developers and players, and this justifies the publisher's view on the PS5 game price, he said. And this is what he says, and I quote, "No, we just set out to make the games as best we can, and once the games are made, then we'll consider what the right price to sell them at is. We don't start out with a price in mind and then tailor the game to the price point at launch. We do have a range of prices, and that will rightly and properly continue as we progress through the cycle." So this does mean that they're kind of, you know, paying attention to what gamers are talking about and what gamers want. You know, I do hope that they price Returnal a little bit cheaper. Like, for me, I would get it at that price, at the $69.99 price. I get it, right? But I'm not everybody. Everybody's not me. Like, for me personally, I like to try new stuff, especially stuff that looks interesting. But again, we see a situation where so many things, you know, are sort of put into this kind of way, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see games suffer that could be great, just because, you know, people haven't tried it before and they're afraid to try new things. So I do hope that we do see some kind of interesting, some kind of different situation with this in the future, because I do find it to be a little bit funny to see just how different people's perspective is on new games and games that, you know, that we haven't seen before. So I do hope that we continue to see sort of them have this flexibility with a lot of these games and stuff like that, because I think that that's important going forward, and that's important sort of for the industry, because you can't just have sort of that dead end there where gamers are kind of screwed, where you either have to do one thing or nothing. It's like, you know, you either pay this price for it or you don't get the game. Like, I don't want to see that to be the case, because I do feel like, you know, that would be a mistake going forward. Just as you know, I don't think Microsoft has a clear plan for this either. I know a lot of people just assume that they're going to stick with the $59.99 thing because they have Game Pass or what. You know, because they have, you know, that or whatever, but I just think they have Game Pass. I don't think that that's going to necessarily be the case. I think that when you do see some of their big AAA next-gen games, you're going to see a higher price point, and you actually will probably want to see a lot of people talk about not only that price point, but you're going to see a lot of people sort of buy into it. Like, I do think that obviously Microsoft does want people to still buy their games even if they have Game Pass, because at the end of the day, you know, I just feel like you know, Game Pass is not really making them the money that they want. So that's why I also think they went to Steam a lot with their games, because clearly Steam is going to be a place where they're going to buy the games. There's not Game Pass on Steam, there's Game Pass on Windows, but I think a lot of PC gamers would rather, you know, cut their thumbs off than than use Windows Store. So yeah, you know, it's going to be interesting to see where that leads. But what do you guys think about this? Are you guys happy to see that Sony isn't kind of stuck on game prices, and this is something that they kind of fixed overall, you know, with their thinking and things like that? I think that I like this approach much better. You know, Miles Morales at a $40-$50 price range makes a lot of sense to me. I love this take. I love this approach. Let me know what you think. Please take care of each other. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. Have a fantastic day. Rack 'em up. Game on, my friends. Game on. Crapgamer out.
Unscripted.